Let's go to the news. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. You know what we're about to talk about. Bitfinex, the big news of the week, just came out today. Bitfinex announced they're a block producer candidate. There were some mixed feelings about this, actually. A lot of folks are excited, but also scared in a way. Bitfinex, they talked about their military grade hardware servers that they're going to provide. Now, I always felt, I mean, this is just my personal opinion, but I always felt that someday military grade security around these data centers would be necessary. Imagine if you have billions and billions of dollars worth of value flowing through these servers, and Joe Schmo criminal finds out about this, he's going to try and hack these or steal these data centers. Of course, that wouldn't get him much, but Joe Schmo criminal doesn't know a whole lot, probably. So Bitfinex is kind of upping the bar, as we've seen a lot of block producers do for each other as time has gone on here, and they've just taken up another notch in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, military grade hardware sounds really cool and safe and secure and something that our community needs. And
Yeah, and they're
yeah, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna. I mean, they're based out of Switzerland. It says
Oh,
so. There's more that security, I guess you could say, and then 1.5 terabytes of RAM on their one. Their it's two servers they're using. One for backup with the following specifications: 1.5 terabyte of RAM.
wow, that's a lot.
A tremendous amount. Yep. Compared to a lot of folks. So they, of course, they have the money to throw around, right? And they even talk about that. We can scale up as necessary, as needed, and we will, and so on and so forth. And of course, they're launching their EOS Phoenix Exchange, is their community benefit project, as well as Sunbeam, which is called it's an experimental Node.js library that they're finalizing and about to offer,
Interesting.
as well as hackathons and education. So they're basically doing a lot of the things that other block producers are doing, but they are taking it up another notch or two. Yeah. What are some of your other thoughts there?
Well, I mean, the concerns that the community have already aired out in public regarding the voting of the obviously the exchanges are going to be pools of tokens, and whether or not they can leverage that pooling to to serve their own needs without the customer's consent is the major concern out there. I believe the user on the Telegram has said that they will not. Still waiting for an official statement, but that's I think everybody's major concern is these tokens have utility associated with them. They have processing, CPU, they have storage, they have voting, and they have RAM. And it's like if you're just gonna have all of these utility tokens sitting around, you're having a lot of power and a lot of utility. So what can you do with them? What rights will an exchange have? And will they use them nefariously or without permission?
And that fear arises from, I'm not sure who it was exactly, but it's an old BitShares issue where there was an exchange that went ahead and voted either for or against a worker proposal.
Hmm.
I don't remember which one it was, but they basically took the power of those token holders that were on the exchange and they voted either for or against that worker proposal in the exchange's own favor. And that was a big issue in the BitShares community, but there was nothing that could be done to stop it.
Interesting.
So I think that's where that concern arises from. And of course, the other big concern is, large token holders, whales. Everybody's always talking about whales and how they might affect the whole process. And of course, there's that new 10% cap in the EOS.io Constitution draft by Thomas Cox. He talked about that in the most recent Constitution article, I believe. So the 10% cap basically says that no one can hold more than 10% tokens in one account. However, the first question that comes up is how do you verify different identities? If there's a group of folks, they could have just different accounts and spread out their tokens through all these different accounts. So
Sybil, yeah.
Sybil attack, SYBIL for those who are not familiar. So those questions still remain, but like we said, it's just the foundation is all this being laid in June, right? All these other building blocks need to take place to build this city, right? This house that we're trying to build with EOS. So that's where the identity will come into play. That's how we prevent those kind of attacks, those kind of things. But yeah,
Maybe it's more like a condo. A house is too small for all of us, It's like maybe a bigger condo, an apartment building.
I think you're right. Yeah, more like a city, really. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, we don't want
What
some
are we
condo
talking
painted
about here?
yellow.
It's like, how can it just be a house?
Right. We got to expand our minds here. Come on,
Yeah,
where's our vision?
that's right. Global,
Yeah.
decentralized. Yeah.
What was the other big news of the week there, Blue Jays, that you saw?
So there was another piece of Bitfinex news. I believe they had some support for the token swap. I think that is a major concern for people going over to when this token swap happens come launch time, and Bitfinex will be supporting that. Obviously, they probably know that that will give them a lot of deposits and stuff like that. So that is definitely something they probably want to support. Now, whether you want to put your coin, your token there is totally up to you. So.
Right. And we always talk about this. Andrew M. from EOS Atlanta, he wrote that great article and posted it on our account to get it widely read. But basically, it was the How to Own Your EOS on Launch Day article. And he talks about registering the tokens and why that's important and why you might actually gain more tokens and more money that way if you were to have your EOS in your own possession. And the reason he's saying that is there may be multiple chains at launch, and there probably will be multiple chains that launch on launch day. For example, if you have one group of block producers and they say, we're the best, we have the best technical specifications, we are the top ones to launch the chain. Well, there could very well be the second set of block producers that say, no, we're the best and we're going to launch our own chain. So therefore, you have EOS 1, EOS 2, EOS 3, all these different chains. Which token do you get from Bitfinex, right? You have Bitfinex deciding how you earn those tokens. Will they give you all the different tokens? Maybe and maybe not. The only way to know for sure is if you have registered your own tokens, and then you'll just sit there on launch day and put your hands back behind your head. You just sit there and go, oh, wow, all these different, making it rain, right? Is that the saying?
That's right.
Yeah, well, so that's the reason. I don't have any strong feelings either way. I know that it's much easier for folks to just leave it on Bitfinex and forget about it and hope for the best, right? But like Andrew M. says, if you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your tokens, then register them yourself. Go through those steps and make sure you know how to do it. So, of course, we should go ahead there, Blue Jays.
Oh, I didn't really have anything to say other than that, Kev. I was thinking of what other news topics that we had.
Yeah, we should probably go ahead and talk about the price just a little bit more. It has continued to climb some, and the cryptocurrency markets in general are starting to climb as well. And getting a little off topic from EOS, but I saw this interesting graph, and it was basically the number of users who had been downloading cryptocurrency apps off the App Store, and so it's been going down for a little while. You know, it's starting about April, early April, it started going back up again. And you know what that means? People are starting to get more interested in crypto, and it's more of a sentiment type analysis. So, as always, this is not financial advice in any way. We don't know what we're talking about at all. We're just here to talk to Thomas and all the other block producer candidates and anyone else. So, don't take this as a financial advice. But what are your thoughts there, Blue Jays?
I would agree with us not knowing what we're talking about, that for sure. Don't we don't speak for anyone except ourselves, and this is our own personal opinion. So, yeah, that's enough on that. I don't think this week was a big news week, guys. So I think everyone's hunkering down, getting ready for the launch in 6 weeks, and block producers are grouping together and naturally sorting things out there. And I'm excited to see what comes out of that. And come 6 weeks time, we should probably have a little bit more clarity of what's going to happen.
Sure. And there was that sneak release, I guess you could call it, found earlier today from release candidate pre-2, I guess it was. It wasn't a full-blown release candidate, but it's something that sent the block producers scrambling on the community test nets. So that was exciting. But yeah, I think you nailed it. Everybody's hunkered down. The developers are developing over in block.one. I'm sure Blacksburg, the office is very busy. And hopefully we'll hear more from Thomas. As he said, he's there now. And we'll have more info for us coming up soon. Meetups. Let's see if we have anything. There's New York is holding one May 10th. It's EOS New York meetup number 4, building apps on EOS, right? They actually put the word dApps on there, but Sharif from EOS Dublin said it well. It's just their apps, right? To the consumer. The consumer doesn't care if it's D or not. Right. So just building apps on EOS, and they're going to have more of a technical meetup. They're going to bring your laptops to this one, they said, and they're going to show the tutorial provided by OCI, which is Object Computing, and they are actually, many of the developers are contracted with block.one to help develop EOS.io software directly. So these guys are well positioned to help with smart contract development. They would know all their stuff. when it comes to actually programming these smart contracts. So if you'd like to learn there, you certainly can. Do you have any
Yep.
others that
Get
you
it?
know of?
No. Meetups, just the ones that Thomas mentioned earlier. He's going to be going off to Detroit and Toronto in mid-May over here. That's all that I had, Kevin. As well, if anybody has any information on meetups, please go to bp.esgo.io and add the information there so that the community can see what your meetup, where and when your meetup is.
Yeah, and there are actually a few of these governance meetups still coming up. Thomas mentioned the ones in Toronto. He has 3 of them all in a 2-day span, I believe it is, in the
Yeah.
Toronto area. And that is the weekend of May 17th, I believe.
Yeah, so on May 17th, I believe that's a Friday, he will go to the University of Waterloo in the lunchtime afternoon. In the evening, he will head to downtown Toronto, and then in the next morning on the Saturday the 18th, he will go to the York University campus, where they have a blockchain center of excellence there. And he's rightly so excited. The University of Waterloo is it's a big it's a big computer science hub. I remember back in my early days in high school, there used to be a rumor that that Mr. Gates from Microsoft used to personally go there and hire the top computer science students. So it's a hotbed of computer science talent.
Sure. Yeah, and I set you off on the wrong foot, actually. It was the 17th is a Thursday, and he will actually be in Detroit on that Thursday. And then the 18th is that Friday, and that's when the Toronto meetups you mentioned start in the order that you were talking about.
Okay.
So if you are worried about the dates, yeah, 18th is May 18th is a Friday.
And that would make the York University on the 19th morning.
Yep, exactly. Correct. And those are on bp.eosgo.io. And of course on the meetups.com page as well if you're into that search around. So any thoughts of the week there, Blue Jays?
Not really. I don't have any thoughts of the week. I sort of gave a hint to the one that I think that everyone's just hunkered down and making the rubber hit the road at the time. And I personally would like to say, it's all about technical chops at this time. It's all about protecting the network. It's all about security. It's all about being technically proficient. So don't worry so much about the formalities of some of the things that we have in our checkmark list. It's there as a basic requirement. We're going to look to evolve that and get better. But for now, we need to get this network up and going.
Yeah, well said. And so EOS Canada's put out those series, and they've talked about how important security will be during the launch process. There will almost definitely be attacks against the block producers who are trying to launch the network, DDoS attacks, and who knows what else will be happening at the same time. So security will be very important, and that's partly why the block producers will need to know what the heck they're doing, not to mention the actual process of launching itself. So there's a lot that goes into it. And of course, those block producers who are and going back to the report as well, this is more, it's a report that helps voters get to know the block producer candidates better, right? The check marks, that's all they are. They're just, has the block producer candidate put the photos of the team on Steemit, for example, so that it's verifiable and people can go back and see it. Tokenica, as an example, they haven't necessarily done all that stuff. They haven't shared it all, but like you said, it's because they have their heads down and they're working really hard on all their projects and so on. It doesn't mean anything when it comes to their technical proficiency. So we all have a lot of, and Thomas has talked about this too. Really, the block producers are the best candidate. They're the best ones to determine who is most proficient technically, right? The average voter doesn't know or possibly even doesn't care about that kind of stuff. So we need the folks who can peer review and go into that in more detail. So that'll be an ongoing process, and we'll try to help where we can. But really, it's block producers are sort of taking the lead on this one, I guess. It's the way it probably, because they're the best peer review for each other in terms of who's the most technically proficient. Therefore, they have the best chance of successfully launching this chain and getting it up and going. And then the voters can take over because they can vote who they actually want in. The initial block producers will be appointed they'll be the appointed block producers, but then the voters will come in and actually vote for who they want in there. So anyway, long story short is, let's just get this thing up and going, right? That's the main.
I'd like to point everyone to the EOS Block Pros Telegram channel, which is at t.me/EOS Pros. You can get more information on the Block Pro stuff, Block Producer stuff there.
And I noticed that channel has exploded the last week or so. It's in terms of the number of people in there, it's really gone up quite a bit. So join in the discussion there if you want to know more about the whole process. The block producers are doing their very best effort to be as open as they can, but there is some stuff that has to happen where a lot of the technical stuff, like we just mentioned, you don't need to know it anyway, or you probably don't care that much. So if you don't necessarily read every line, that's okay. We'll all get the information in the end. So it's good stuff. Yeah, good week there, Blue Jays. And it's good to see you. I guess I'll see you again next Monday, huh?
Yep, I will. And go EOS.
Go EOS.
Good night, everybody.